Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome to 2021. I know it's been a little bit of a shit show already, but things are starting to improve. I wanted to kick this year off right, so I'm so glad that I got to be able to bring this man on. You all know and love him. He's the creator of things that have literally led to some of the most important and fantastic things in my life. So guys, say hello to the chairman, Mr. Kristian Harloff.
A shit show, you say? A shit show? I'm in for the shit show. How are you?
Oh, you know, I'm breathing. I'm alive. I'm not arrested for murder, so it's good.
Not yet.
Yeah. So how's everything outside? I know things are starting to kick up, and you know, the gears are starting to turn again. But you doing all right?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. You know, that's the one thing I think that the Schmoedown has given us so much to do that even when you try to say, oh, maybe I should concentrate on maybe I don't want to concentrate on the craziness. Schmoedown says you can't concentrate on the craziness because you have to deal with us. So we have a lot going on. Obviously, we got the awards coming up next week, and then followed up by the free agency special, and then capping it all off with the draft. So January it's been very busy, and as I'm sure you know, as a player, like the off season has already been the craziest off season that we've ever done so far.
I don't know. I've been kind of hands off. I'm like, I've stopped trying to like steer, like the car that's like kind of skidding off the road. I'm just like hands off. I'm like, look, what's going to happen is going to happen. The people that know the things I want them to know them, and I have no control at this point. Fair. So yeah, hope for the best, prepare for the worst.
Right.
But Schmoedown talk aside, I mean, we could literally be on here for 3 hours and still not scratch the surface of everything that's going on. But you've been talking about that a lot. Everybody's been talking about that a lot. Let's get away from that for a little bit.
Sure.
So the show is movies, music, and mayhem. The mayhem is the Schmoedown in the world, which we will get to eventually, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. But music, you're a huge hip hop fan. Correct?
Yeah. Growing. I mean, I don't want to say that people started asking me about hip hop of today, and you're like, oh, this guy doesn't know much. I don't pay as much attention to the newer artists as I do from like the 90s. And I was listening. I'm so old. I remember listening to rap on in Queens when it first Run DMC, and when it really started to pop. You had to like scroll through the channels on the radio to find it because it wasn't on the major stations. You had to find it at a certain time at night where they just played it in blocks. And there was all of this stuff like back in the day, and like Big Daddy Kane and Big Daddy Kane is one of my favorites of all time. So like 80s rap, 90s rap, that's the stuff for me that's the stuff I still listen to. I still play all the time.
Yeah, I remember probably about like 7 or 8 years ago, I got the chance to go on tour with Jurassic 5. Mm-hmm. And I had never heard of them because it was just, I grew up in white suburbia in Northern California, and I don't know what it was, but I hadn't heard them. And then I got to go on tour with them and meet them and hang out and listen to their music every night. And it was like a 20th anniversary of one of their tours, and just getting to listen to that, like, see, it was nice to be amongst fans that were, you know, in their 30s and older, and not like drunk 20-year-old frat boys spilling beer all over my tables. Right. But that's an era of music that I sorely miss, and I'm sad I wasn't into more when it was a thing. But I mean, do you think that we'll get those old artists coming back out on tour eventually?
Back on tour, that's the question for everybody right now, is whether or not people are going to be able to go back out on tour. But eventually, yeah, I'm sure. As far as the style and everything too goes, I mean, there's certain artists in general. Like I remember watching something with my wife not too long ago, and we were talking about it, how we've ultimately become our parents. We were like, well, that's not music. Back in our day, that's music. I mean, we literally said that when we saw someone on Saturday Night Live, like, this person, I can't understand anything they're saying. I'm like, this isn't Nas.
This is crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was lucky enough. Growing up, did you listen to a lot of like the music that your parents listened to, or like when did you find that divide of like going off and discovering your own musical styles?
I think it was a mixture. I never like abandoned the stuff that my dad and my mom, because my dad was the first one to introduce me really to the Doors, which is my favorite rock band of all time. The Stones. He was a big, like, there's always this not divide, though the age old question between Stones and Beatles. My dad was always a Stones guy, and I think I became a Stones guy because of that. He was, he's a Vietnam vet, and the Stones were pretty synonymous to that. Anytime you saw a lot of those movies of playing the Stones stuff, and John Fogerty, Creedence, that was all stuff my dad. Bruce Springsteen, I'm a massive Bruce Springsteen fan, and every time I hear a Bruce Springsteen song, I think of my dad. But my mom was a Beatles fan, and always a Beatles fan, but growing up, John Cougar Mellencamp, he was John Cougar Mellencamp back then, and like a lot of those things I remember for sure. But discovering my own stuff is pretty much what I was saying to you, is that I remember listening to those hip hop stations and being one of the first people in my class. Have you guys heard this? This is incredible. And my late great friend Brian Cascia and I we were so taken aback by it. We were like, this is insane. This changed. We did our own groups, and we did our own tapes, and we started making our own songs and trying to do the same thing, like these two white kids from Queens trying to do it. And that's ultimately what shaped it. And then as I got older and high school, like Naughty by Nature and Black Sheep and things, Tribe Called Quest still is one of my favorites of all time. So that's kind of how it's, but it was never just 90s hip hop. That's all I was listening to. I was listening to everything. I mean, I remember though, right around that time, that's when the Doors movie came out, and I was already into the Doors, but the Doors movie came out, and then that's all I was listening to was just Jim Morrison, reading Jim Morrison poetry and all that kind of shit. So
that sounds like a chapter in a heroin novel.
Yeah.
Sure. And then Jim Morrison came back into my life.
Yeah.
Do you remember what your first concert was?
I do. It was I don't know if I got him. It was like a radio station thing, but it was Bryan Adams opening for Def Leppard. Yeah. What? It was from a radio station. I don't know how I got it. My dad got the tickets or something too, but I took my ex-girlfriend there, and that was it. I was like 13 or 14 or something. 13, I think so. And we saw Bryan Adams opening for Def Leppard. It was, I want to tell you, it was Madison Square Garden. Pretty sure it was. But that was the first one. Yeah. Not the one that I would have necessarily chosen to see for the first time, but nonetheless, both it was for that time, and when it was in the 90s like that, it was it was significant.
Yeah, I got to see Def Leppard, but who opened for them? Somebody also, I think Poison it was like a co-headlining Poison Def Leppard tour.
Oh, that's awesome.
Fucking amazing. Yeah, MSG is a venue that I've, in all of my years on touring, like I've never played MSG, which is like, it's just like a pipe dream at this point. I'm like, I want to play MSG and Red Rocks outside of Denver, because those places are just the most stunning things. They're just light posts on the track. But what was the first concert that you chose, like specifically? Like, I saw the lineup. These are the guys I'm going to spend my money on.
Well, I mean, again, it was one that my dad had asked me if I wanted to go to with him, and I saw the Stones with him. Was one of and that was right after that. So I didn't necessarily spend my own money on it, but I still, was one that I was like, yeah, let's do that. And seeing the Stones was great. It was 90. The hell was that? I can't remember when it was, but it was great.
Yeah, these days when somebody asks you if you want to go to a Stones show, you're like, you're paying, right? Because that shit is expensive.
Yeah, especially now, for sure. But I mean, I didn't get to. I wish. I've seen Bruce Springsteen in concert. It was in 2008 or 2009. I would have loved. I mean, he was great. One of the best concerts I've ever been to. But I would have loved to seen him in the 80s and 90s. That would have been great.
Yeah, I never got to. I haven't gotten to see him live yet. But we were in Cleveland for a while, and so we got to go to I bought one of those like subscriptions to the House of, or not the House of Blues, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and it was like $50 for a year. I went every day, and they had a Bruce Springsteen exhibit, and like had the kitchen table that he wrote like every song at.
That's cool.
And like you can see some of the lyrics like pressed into the wood, and I just like would go there every day and just sit there and like watch the 3-hour video on repeat until I had to run over to the theater.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was amazing. Stones is one that I've never seen. I was supposed to work for them, but I haven't seen them. What's a band that you've always wanted to see but haven't gotten to see yet?
Yet, or like all time that just impossible?
Both.
The impossible one, obviously, the Doors. Pink Floyd also, because I missed Floyd when I remember their last tour. I said, oh yeah, I'm gonna go, and then it was like, oh yeah, that was their last tour. You stupid ass. So those two for sure. That I haven't seen now that I'd love to see. That still, I mean, you know what sucks? This is the one that really sucks. So when I was doing Heidi and Frank here in for a long time, for about 5 years or so. It was every Thursday morning, which is a local radio station here in California, KLOS. And the way that they would, I don't want to say pay me, but they would say, okay, you did it before, you came on the air, here's tickets. They gave me tickets every time. But the problem was, it was right when I really started getting those tickets was right when my youngest was born. Right. So getting away during the weekday was very tough. I got to see like Billy Joel and who else did I see? I saw I took my wife to see like Rod Stewart, which was awesome, by the way. There's a couple of different really cool ones that I got to see. But the one that I was most bummed about, they gave me tickets to Tom Petty. And I had tickets to Tom Petty. It was the week before he passed. And I remember getting those tickets and saying to myself, all right, you know what? He'll be on tour next year. I'm gonna go see him. I'll forget it. I'll get him. I'll do the show next year, and they'll give me tickets again. And I never got a chance to go, and that really bummed me out. But
that's heartbreaking.
You know who I'd like to see? You know who I think's really, my wife really wants to see her, and I just think she's so freaking talented and just has such an angelic voice. I'd love to see Adele. I don't care if that takes away my man card. I'd love to see her, Adele. I would. I just love to. I just appreciate really good talent and like music, and just someone like her who just like it's not a talent, it's a superpower what she has. You know what I mean? She's a
performer. She's not a singer.
No, she's a superpower.
She's another entity.
Yeah, and I'd like to witness that. I like to be in the audience, just kind of listening to that, because she's just. I mean, I'm not going to pretend that I'm like a massive Adele fan. Like, there's songs I know of hers when I hear it, but there's just something about being in the audience, listening to that, and understanding like that is a gift that was given to this person, and they found it. Like that's what I'd like to see her.
Yeah, I never got to see Tom Petty, but they were in Pittsburgh at the same time that An American in Paris was, and they were staying at our hotel. And so one night, you know, everybody's back at the hotel bar hanging out, and I look across the bar and I see this guy, and Rhodey recognized Rhodey. You see that dead look in their eyes, and you're like, you're wearing all black and you look dead inside. You're my brother.
That's awesome.
So we became friends, and he was his head lighting guy. And they had just loaded in, and they had 2 nights ahead of them. And he was like, yeah, if you ever get out early and like want to come by, like, here's my number, text me, and, you know, we can get you in. And couldn't do it at all.
Sucks.
I was heartbroken.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think one person, I mean, the band that I want to see the most that I haven't gotten a chance to is the Foo Fighters. I've met Dave Grohl, and he is everything you want him to be and more. I'm convinced he's part Muppet. But the Foo Fighters are a band I really, really want to see. And then I would give up everything in my life to tour with Pink.
Do you know Dagnino worked with Pink?
I'm shocked.
he was in a video with her.
What? Wait, what?
Yeah, I forget which video it was, but like you can't really, you can see him, but he's prominent in it. But you just can't, if I told you it was him, you would watch and go, yeah, that's him, but you wouldn't be able to recognize it off the bat. You know, I'm going to text him and ask him what video he was in with her.
Figure that out, because we will watch that and find him.
Yeah.
No, I actually, funny enough, the day after my 21st birthday, I went to a concert at the Hotel Cafe in Hollywood, right off of Sunset. And the artist was Butch Walker, who is like this massive superstar, like producer. He's a singer, a songwriter. He's worked with everyone. He co-wrote Tommyland with Tommy Lee.
Oh, wow.
And that night he just had a whole bunch of friends like hanging out in his green room. And I had 1 beer that night and got white girl wasted all over again, because 21st birthdays are so much fun.
Right.
So we're sitting at the bar talking to the manager and waiting for like me to sober up. And all of a sudden, Carrie Hart and Alicia Moore, Pink, come out of the back room somebody goes to the stage and starts playing on the piano, and everybody is drunk. So we're singing Piano Man, but badly, and with all the verses in different orders and singing the chorus over and over again. And I ended up duetting with Alicia for Me and Bobby McGee.
That's awesome.
And she was so drunk. It's the only thing I can think of, because she walks up to me afterwards, tells me I have a great voice, gives me her card, and asks me to come into the studio. And I'm like, you're adorable. I love you, but I'm not going to do that to your record.
That's amazing. That's really cool. Yeah, I was trying to. People have asked this question, I think, before on SEN. Do you remember seeing certain people before they kind of blew up? And so Bonnie Somerville I went to an event with her on where the hell was it? It was somewhere in Hollywood, and there was this woman who comes out and like, yeah, this woman's supposed to really pop. She's supposed to be really good. She comes out and just annihilates it. And it was Lady Gaga. It was like right before she like just annihilated everything. But yeah, she was really good.
Oh my God. I bet she was still being introduced as Stephanie.
I know. I think she was Lady Gaga, because I remember thinking saying to Bonnie, did they just say Gaga? So because I didn't know what the hell was going on. So what's a Gaga?
That's amazing. Yeah, I got to see Green Day up in Oakland.
Cool.
When I was 13 in this should have been condemned, falling apart building on the wrong side of the tracks. Like it literally, like, you're on the wrong side when you have to cross Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard in Oakland.
Yeah.
And we did, and went a few blocks past that.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
So I got to see that. That was amazing. Yeah. God, who's the first person you want to see once the world opens back up again?
In music?
Yeah.
Because I really want to see Dave Chappelle again.
Wow.
But that's not music. In music, I mean, if Tribe does anything again, I'd love to see Tribe. I mean, I'm always looking to see Bruce. I've seen the Killers before, and I really like the Killers. I don't know, man. I mean, it's a matter, like I said, I a lot of the stuff that I listen to now is still, and if Childish Gambino ever did something, I'd want to see him. I've been listening. That's actually not true. Now looking at my playlist here, some of the stuff that I actually listen to, I like Mason Jennings a lot. Do you listen to Mason Jennings at all?
I recognize the name, but I don't think I've heard them yet.
Really good. I like Mason Jennings a lot. John Bryan is someone that I want to see. So John Bryan he's a composer, and he does a lot of great scores. He did like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. He did all the Lady Bird stuff, but he's a musician as well. I mean, I'm a musician, obviously a musician, but he does lyrics as well. So he's someone that I definitely want to see. I'm going through all these ones that I have here that I have. There's so many old school stuff. I have like Leonard Cohen. Can't see him anymore. U2. Would love to see U2. I've never seen U2 before. So those are some of the ones for sure that I'd love to see.
I can't wait to get back out to a punk show and have it just be like 35 and older and no mosh pits, because we're all just going to hurt ourselves.
Craziest mosh pit I ever saw. I used to go to these concerts in Florida all the time when I was there, and that shouldn't surprise you when I say one of the craziest things ever. It's like it was in Florida. But I remember, I can't remember what the name of the festival was, but it was like a 2-day festival, and we were there, and and like Bush was performing, and what's that? And I can't remember. There's so many 90s bands that there were like one-hit wonders that are gone. And I remember this mosh pit, and I'll never forget this. There was this crazy mosh pit, and there was this dude, and he was just violent, right? And he's knocking into people left and right, and he knocks over this like guy, had to be like 35, 40-year-old, out of shape dude. He knocks the guy out of the way. He just goes off, and this guy is just like, this isn't like mosh pit. This is a guy who thinks he's in the UFC, and he's out there, and he's slamming people left and right, just looking for some shit. And I'll never forget this, because I was hammered watching this as a spectator on the side. It's as if it happened yesterday. And in the corner of my eye, I see the older 35, 40-year-old guy that this guy knocked out of the way. And he is sizing up this dude from a distance, right? And he walks over, and the guy is still doing it. And here comes this guy from the side and just throws a big right hand and knocks this guy out cold. He looks down at him like this and goes, and walks off. And And I was like, I can remember it clear as day. It was nuts. It was an absolute nutty thing. So
do you remember what song it was? Because in my head it was to like Sugar Ray or something. Because that just
I don't remember. I can't remember who it was, but it was just it like the whole concert was a blur. I mean, I think it was it
could have been Blur.
It could have been. Who knows? It was nuts though.
That's amazing. Yeah, a friend of mine and I started apparently one of the biggest mosh pits in Warped Tour history in front of Coheed and Cambria on the main stage. And this is in Ventura. So they had the main stages set side by side and they would just flip back and forth. Mm-hmm. And the mosh pit grew so big that it encompassed the other crowd.
Oh, jeez.
So that's
big. Yeah, we
were very proud of ourselves.
It's like an ocean.
It was. It literally like just kind of started washing its way over to the other group. But that was all. I think that was also the year that Linkin Park played at Warped Tour, and that was a fucking huge crowd too. Oh my god, that was like one of the last shows they did. And I feel so glad to have been able to like be there to witness it. And they had like oh no, this was after Chester had passed, because they had a whole bunch of like singers from the other bands from Warped Tour come on and like sing with them. But like Mike Schmoedown, like everybody was there, like the whole band was there. But we got to hear this, and they had played Warped Tour at the very beginning of their careers, so it was nice to have them come back and get to see that and do this massive tribute to Chester.
That's cool. Yeah, it was right. I remember. Yeah, that was what 2018, so 2017.
I think a little earlier. I think it was 2016.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
So the by the way, Dagnino told me the name of the video is just like fire. So I can I'll find it. I'll find the actual thing.
That's a good video too.
If I can find it. This one just has. Yeah, I don't know where the hell is it. All I see is images from Alice in Wonderland. That can't be it. Where's the actual?
I think the song was used on the soundtrack, but
yeah, I have to look for it. Okay, sorry.
That's okay. Well, we actually have somebody, Steve, Movie Fanobi, sent in $20 and says, Rachel, you got the commish. Exciting stuff. I've been happy to see Kristian passionate about Mandalorian, Cobra Kai, though I do like Solo and the watch-alongs he used to do. Keep positive, having fun in 2021. Rachel Harloff needs you in matches. Love, Steve. Thank you, Steve.
Nice, Steve.
Steve's the best. But I'm ready for everything at this point.
It's going to be a fun season, man. It's going to be a crazy season, and it's going to be I don't know. I'm just curious to see how it all pans out, and then the excitement has been pretty gnarly so far. So we'll see how it goes.
I find it intriguing and like massively exciting how the fandom hasn't shrunk. Like everybody's just getting more and more excited for each step, even though we can't go live, we can't tour, right. Like we're not getting to see each other, but it's just like it's just excitement just building constantly. So
yeah, and hopefully we're trying to do that a little bit more now with all these new people coming in, right? New audiences and stuff too. So we're excited about it. We'll see how it goes down.
Yeah, it's gonna be the shiny new toys are coming in.
That's right.
It's gonna be exciting to see who works and who doesn't.
I have the screenshot for you if you want to see.
Yeah, go for it.
Let's see. Where can you share? Oh, I can share it for you. Hold on.
You should be able to share.
Yeah. I see. Okay. Can you can see it here?
Yep.
Oh, there he is on the left.
Oh yeah, that's Dagnino.
Yeah. He's dragging Pink off, and where is he? Hold on. Yeah, he's dragging her up. Yeah.
He's laughing.
Oh yeah, he's definitely laughing. I don't know, and I'm very impressed with myself that I even remembered that idiot was in that thing.
That's amazing. I'm so jealous right now.
Yeah, isn't that great?
That's pretty cool. No, she's been an idol of mine for years. Like since high school, I've just been in love with her. She's fantastic. So did you ever reach that goal to watch the thing?
We did reach it. We reached it a long time ago, and it's sitting right there. So I did take it out to watch it. And now I have to do that. And now I have to make sure that I sit down and actually watch it. So It has been taken out of the shelf and put on the thing to watch. Now it's just a matter of actually watching it.
Was the plan to do a watch along? I can't remember.
Well, the audience said that they want that, but like, who the hell wants to watch me watch it for the first time? Because I'm not going to say anything during it. Like, I'll say something during like the second time. You know, like the second time I watch it, then I'll comment along. But who wants to watch me just kind of sitting there watching the movie? Because I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to be watching the movie. I don't like to talk during it. So
maybe do it on the second viewing then.
Yeah, that's what I think.
I mean, watch-alongs are beginning to be really fun. Yeah, I don't know if I can watch, if I would ever be able to do a watch-along for a first-time viewing.
Right. Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know. Yeah. I got to get it done, though. I have to get it done because we did hit I think it was the 4K on Twitch. So, yeah, we got to get that done.
For some reason, I thought it was 10K, but
not on Twitch yet. That's it'll happen when especially if I have I've been pretty vocal about it. The idea is that we're going to start the minor leagues on Twitch, and that will be on Tuesdays. So the minor leagues will be Tuesdays, and then the main show will be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday with 3 pay-per-views a month. So there's a lot of matches this year.
That's a lot of content.
Yeah,
guys, join the Patreon.
Yeah, seriously.
just fucking do it.
Yeah.
Like, literally, if you don't, like,
I think that what it is when they see it, when people don't understand right away with the I've understood this. You know, it's a matter of, well, I'm paying for Netflix, I'm gonna pay for some YouTube show, and it's like, well, but the difference is though, we're giving you so much content and so many things, whether it's the matches early, but these pay-per-views, right? Most pay-per-views on any sport that you get are going to be like $49.99 or whatever it is too, right? Our pay-per-views, if you get them single, they're like, I don't know, $4.99, $5.99 for some of them, but we're going to do 3 of them this year. So if all 3 of those add up to, let's say $21, if it turns out, instead of that, you can go $10 a month on the Patreon, plus all the other things that we also, the Q&As that we're going to do. We have so much planned out this season, the exhibitions. We're trying to make it worthwhile, because the reason why we were able to expand the league as it is because of the patrons. You know, without the patrons, we can't expand. Without the donations on SEN, we can't expand. So that's what we're able to do.
I'm super excited.
Yeah.
I had another Streamlab come in from Cutter Hale. 2 of my favorite YouTubers together in a video. Love it. Hope y'all are doing well and staying safe. Just wondering if either of you have seen Promising Young Woman. I saw twice in the last week of 2020, and it was my favorite movie of 2020. Highly recommend. I have not seen this yet, and I am very excited to.
I did see it, and I enjoyed it a lot. I thought Carey Mulligan was awesome in this role. It was you don't get to see really fun dark comedies anymore, and it was very clever. I think Bo Burnham was awesome in it. He was also great. Clancy Brown, I'm always excited to see Clancy Brown. But the movie, it's dark, but she puts on, like, it was a different movie than I thought it was going to be, which is good when I saw the trailer itself. And it's a great performance. She's great in the film. She really is. She'll be nominated for sure.
Yeah, I don't think she's ever let me down in a role, but when I saw the trailer for the first time, I was getting very heavy I Spit on Your Grave vibes.
Mm-hmm.
And that made me excited because that movie's a classic, and it's hard to watch, but I fucking love it.
You'll love this movie. This movie's right up your alley. You'll love this movie.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Now, do you have any favorite movies that whenever you tell somebody is like a favorite of yours, they just kind of go, wait, what?
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure. I mean, when I talk about it, there's so many of my favorites in general. I mean, I always talk about Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. It was one of my favorites, but I don't think that's a big what movie. I think that a lot of people love that movie. Braveheart, Empire Strikes Back, movies like that. There's Inception. When I talk about the movies, a lot of the movies that I have my favorites, it's boring because there are a lot of same favorites for a lot of people. Goodfellas, you know, Wolf of Wall Street. I'm trying to think of some of the movies that I really love. I mean, when Transformers the movie, the animated versions also is probably one of my favorite animated films of all time. So that's probably what. Oh, you know, the one that, as a Disney fan, you'll appreciate this. The one that when people ask me what my favorite Disney film is, that always gets a big what. Because my favorite Disney film is Alice in Wonderland.
Okay.
That's my favorite. Like that. But to you as a Disney fan, it's not as shocking because but to other people, like, really, that's the one. Like my wife is like, I love that movie for a lot. It's one of the it's super funny. Tweedledee and Tweedledum are incredible. And are essentially Kaiser and Dagnino. And I was listening to The Walrus and the Carpenter yesterday, listening to it as I was working. I absolutely love that. For sure.
Yeah, that's whenever anybody asks my favorite Disney movie, I'm always like, instantly it's The Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen that movie over 100 times. I can play it in my head with no help. I know every single line. I love that movie. Like, when they use that 5-point question asking for the quote, I like legit jumped off my bed and like screamed it. I was like, this is my movie. Like, no, give me that 5-pointer.
Right.
But it's also like, it's got such a great cast, and Eartha Kitt and, David Spade and Patrick Warburton are just like perfect in it. And it's so funny. I love the way that Disney has maintained that sense of humor that is both relatable to the kids and flies over their heads for their parents sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's just, Disney.
Did you do the Disney exhibition match?
Of course I did. I won that.
Did you win it? I was going to say, I thought you won that. Yeah, I figured that you won that.
No, Chance thought he was going to win, and I was like, "That's adorable. Sit down."
That's what I thought. Yeah.
He got angry because he thought it was going to be Disney Pixar and like evenly like 50-50.
Oh, yeah.
Like, but Disney's got like 8 times more movies than Pixar. Like,
you got to defend that. You got to defend that next season. Yeah.
I will finish this bottle and get drunk right now and defend it and TKO somebody. I do not care.
I'm sure.
Bring it on.
Yeah. Isn't that a bummer? Isn't that a bummer though? Like, because like you're so dominant in that particular category, but that's the bitch of round 2. It's like you have it there, it's ready for you, and then it like lands on something that is like and we do this purposely. We do this on purpose, by the way. We always put like the tough category right next to your strength.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're like Disney's there, and then it's like and if I'm assuming incorrectly here, I apologize, but then we put like Westerns right next to it, right? And then you're like, shit, because it was right there. And it's like you're gonna get the reaction one way or another from the audience and from the competitors. It's either yes or oh thank God or shit. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I always hated when you put before, like I think it was season 6, 2 of our choices were always like right next to opponent's choice.
Yeah. And
I'm like, you guys are being assholes. Like, don't be so mean.
That's my favorite to do, because it's just like almost there.
Yeah. You're gonna spin it hard enough, but not too hard.
Not too hard, yeah, exactly.
That one extra click will just kill you.
That's right.
No, I would, of course. Anytime you want me to defend that Disney Pixar, I'm in. I mean, I'll take a league.
Well, the problem with the league, we've heard, because I mean, whether it's from Disney to the horror division, which people were trying to get, or MCU, it's just Star Wars came at the right time. If it was today, Star Wars wouldn't get its own division. Star Wars came at the right time because everything I was doing with Jedi Council and being the fact that that was my thing. That's what I was kind of built a lot of my audience on, was covering Star Wars. And there was just so much going on with Star Wars, right? That's why we built it out. Taking horror and taking away from like the regular division, and I'm sure Bibiani just woke up out of dead sleep to come argue with me of why it should be a division. I'm not going to make it a division, and I can't make Disney a division also because it's a slice on the wheel. It's a slice on the second wheel. That's why we're doing so many different things. We're thinking about some of that with PJ for the regular singles and teams this year. Like Star Wars isn't going to have its own slice. It's going to be Lucasfilm is going to have its own slice on the wheel, where Star Wars will be a slice inside of Inner Geekdom, but for regular singles and teams, it'll be Lucasfilm.
Yeah, I can't wait to get that list.
Yeah, it's massive.
I actually psyched myself out because on the contract it says I thought it said that the new slices were going to be released on January 1st, and it's February 1st, and I was so excited on New Year's morning, and then I was like, shit.
Yeah, we had to agree to all of them first, because PJ sent me this big long list of all the new movies that he wanted to put in, and we had to go over and agree to them or not agree to them, and I added a few. So there's a lot of great, exciting new slices, and then poor Alex has to go out and make all of them. So it's well, no, you know what? He doesn't have to do that now. We're digital for now, so I guess he doesn't have to do that until we go back live. But
I'm sure he'll slowly start working on them so that once it comes, because at this point, when they say go, I know you're going to be like, as soon as LA opens up and we can go back into studio, like, I know that there's going to be an email that goes out that's like, who's available this weekend?
There's already a plan. I mean, the plan was before all this, the second this LA turned into the hotspot, it was that the plan was going to be, we'll do COVID testing on site, and we're going to rent a theater, and we're going to do stretches twice a month, and we will knock out a ton of matches. And then, then we'll have the matches go from the theater on, because we're going to rent an actual theater in Burbank and do it Monday Night Raw style, where we're going to shoot all over the theater. We're going to shoot actual entrances the same way we do at live events. We were going to shoot stuff behind the scenes. We were going to shoot things in booths. We were going to have people doing like a 24/7 kind of like battle in the hallways and stuff. Like, we're going to do trainings. There was so much that we had planned, but then the second wave kind of came in. We're like, all right, well, we prove that we could do singles and teams, but teams are probably still going to happen, but a little later in the digital side. And I'm going to try to, if we wind up doing title matches live, or excuse me, not live, but on digital, then we're probably going to wind up pre-taping them. I'm not doing 5-rounders live anymore. It's just it's too shitty.
It's too hard. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's hard playing live anyway, regardless, but like just watching them gave me like anxiety for you. I was like, oh God, this is going weird. No, I'm down. I mean, yes, like I said, Disney matches. And if Jericho ever wants to have a Kevin Smith off, I will throw down that challenge, because
fun too. Yeah.
That's adorable that he thinks he knows Kevin Smith better than anyone in the league other than Kevin Smith.
Well, that's a fun exhibition match between you and Kevin. And you'll probably lose your mind, but that'd be a fun one to do. But I'd want to do it live. I'd want to I'd want to do it in the studio, to where, like, because you versus Kevin in a Kevin Smith match, that would be great. Because like someone, I mean, I saw it, because right now you had a rough road with Roca and everybody too, and you're 0-3 at the moment, but if you start getting some matches, you can get back there, because I put out who Kevin Smith's next opponent should be, and right now you guys don't match up on the rankings. So it's like, an exhibition on Kevin Smith, that could be fun.
Yeah, I mean, playing against Kevin Smith might be a little jarring, but I would definitely take down Jericho with Kevin Smith at the table.
That'd be fun too.
Oh, that's yeah. First of all, I mean, I just want to make fun of his hair, because he looks like a Pomeranian and it's adorable.
I love his hair.
But no, I mean, yeah, there's so many things that are possible. Especially, I know that a lot of things got shelved that were going to happen this last season, just because of everything shutting down and scrambling to figure it out. And I think it was figured out beautifully. Is there a movie that you think has not been asked about enough that like you just love?
That I love, I mean, hard for me to say, because even after I do these matches and I have these competitors call me up to talk about the matches afterwards too, and they're like, oh, do you remember what question was asked? And it was 5 minutes ago and I can't remember it, so I don't remember which movies or which ones I'd want to be asked about. There's always, I mean, I do think one of the things that I think should happen instead, and this is, I mentioned, now that you say this, I have to mention it to PJ. I think that if these certain movies or certain directors that only have like 8 movies, I think Rocky now, instead of being an exhibition division, should absolutely have its own slice.
Oh yeah.
Rocky should, like the Rocky movies, there's including Creed, there's like 8 of them. So the Rocky franchise should have its own slice. And we all have the questions from exhibition. Like, you just watch the exhibition matches, you get a lot of the questions.
It's true. I mean, we are recycling questions, which is nice.
Yeah, I gotta get PJ on the phone right after this. I gotta remember that. I'm gonna write him an email right now while we do this. Watch, I'm gonna multitask.
I mean, to be fair, that guy should be watching. That guy is like my brother. Come on, Pete. Where the hell are you? Yeah. Hop in the chat. Let him know you're here. There's been oh, Tyler's here. There's been a whole lot of talk about bringing in, like, making the questions about the movies more diverse. And I'm really excited for that, because like, I know against my match against Liz, we missed 2 apparently very easy questions for Black cinema. So I'm really excited to like get those slices and see which new actors and directors like that we really get to deep dive into for studying. can't remember where I was going with this, but
I mean, as far as the slices, yeah, I mean, like we made it a point to do that last season, and add a whole bunch of new directors and actors on that list, and we did that, and and we want to make sure that we did that again, and there's definitely is, like, because there was always I never wanted, like, to when they said that there was always the recommendation to do like black movies was something, and it's like I like the black cinema slice. I think the black cinema slice to me is like that, because that to me, you can incorporate a lot of the topics that we already have, and a lot of the, whether it's it could be Denzel or Spike Lee or Viola Davis, any of the ones questions that the wheel slices that we already have, and to also take some of those particular questions plus other ones, and maybe other movies that particularly wouldn't get their own slice, or excuse me, like maybe some as up and coming actors, but we can incorporate that into the black cinema slice. I think that's something we're adding this season, which I'm excited about. There are new actors, new directors. I mean, there's going to be a lot of new categories, especially, and in Inner Geekdom, there's a lot of new categories too.
Good, because it keeps it exciting, like there's so many things out there and so many different categories you can throw into, and it leads to some really fun discussions. Guys, don't fight over them once the list gets released, because nobody likes fights. Just discussions are fun.
But do you understand? But do you understand that this is why I added managers to the league, even more so? Like, my favorite thing that I've ever been able to do now is to, like, because now the competitors, they still try, but I can say, don't ask me, talk to your manager. And then they like the days of people directly coming to me are over, and I love it. I love it. It's the best.
Just a little bit of, not, I'd say silence, but I know that's not true.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
The roar is quieter.
It's quieter. It's because now it's the managers. It's like the managers will have the biggest look. So and so has guys gripe with this, and that, and plus the fact when it comes to the wheel and the questions, I am away from that stuff anyway. That has nothing to do. That's all Ellis and PJ. They handle the majority of that stuff too. Ellis and kind of coordinates, and PJ's been handling it with his team like brilliantly. So, but so I when it comes to any of that stuff, like, can I see the wheel early? I'm like, I have no idea if you can or not. You don't ask me. Like, that's not my category.
Shug put in a Streamlab. Thank you, babe. Says, of course I'm here to support the Switchblade. Harloff, awesome to see you on Rachel's show hanging out. Are you trying to kill the after shows with all this content? Support excites for the year. Rachel winning comeback player of the year 2021. You bet your ass.
There you go. I'm trying to give you more material. I'm trying to give you more stuff. You'll have so much to talk about now that, whenever you plan it out, you'll have, there won't be a shortage of content anymore for you guys. Like, there'd be so much that happened on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the pay-per-views, the stuff happening with trades and free agency. It's a full-on thing. So I
think that's what he means. He's like, you're killing us with so much to talk about.
So much. Yeah.
Everyone's just going to turn into 24-hour streams and just like IV into the caffeine.
They help me, those shows, though, man. Those shows help me. I listen to those shows because, you want to have it. It reminds me of like being when I was working WWE. They pay attention to all those wrestling sites and everything going on, and what the pulse is on the fan base, right? And so that's I've always made it. That's why we change. And this is an announcement that I haven't really even told anybody yet. We're changing the name of that award. It's not going to be Podcast of the Year, because it's not a podcast award. That's not what it is. It's going to be Schmoedown Media of the year.
Nice.
Best Schmoedown Media of the year, and because that's ultimately what those shows are. They're the Schmoedown Media, and so I listen to all of it. I listen to that show for sure. Let's Get Ready. I listen to Certain Point of View and Call to Action and all of it, because I want to hear what the fan base is saying. And I don't necessarily always. Sometimes they'll say things like, well, that you don't see the direction of it, but that's what the media, that's what they do. It's like they're supposed to have their critiques, and they're supposed to say what they want to say and where they think things are going. It's always fun. I love hearing their theories. I love hearing the theories on like where they think certain players are going or where they think certain storylines are going. And I'm like, you think You think,
like, oh, that's cute and clever, but no.
Yeah. I will say though, as I was listening to Let's Get Ready, they said something on that show, and for kind of something, this is a while ago, of something that I was thinking of doing storyline wise, and I had really had it already done, and they're like, well, what if I think this is going to happen? And I'm like, son of a bitch. I'm like, that's exactly what I was going to do. But it had happened, and they didn't even, I think at one point they said like, oh, I think we thought that was going to happen too. But it's fun. It's fun to listen to it. It's fun to hear all of them. So then there's so many good ones right now.
Yeah, there's a ton of content out there, guys. Like, pick your poison.
Yeah.
Jump from one to another. Like, and there's the worst thing is, and this is like, it's just an overflowing of blessing. None of them are bad.
Right.
Like, all of them are great. All of them have really great points and have a valid argument for everything that they stand by. And it is fascinating for me because I get to you get to play that like one foot in each world of like, I started off as a fan, I'm a competitor, and I still like, in my head, I'm like, oh, it'd be really funny if the storylines played out like this, and they're talking about it, and I get to enjoy that what if situation.
I love that because it's one of those things for people who I've seen in the Facebook group. Sometimes they're like, well, I don't really watch a lot of the after shows. I don't do that. I'm like, you should, especially now with the fact that MTS is kind of in the off season. Of course, you have Backstage and Rundown right now. I think Rundown is actually, they might be, they're either live now or they're going to be live soon. I think it's 6. I don't remember. It's at 6, I think. Well, we just changed it up. They're supposed to be on Wednesdays at 6.
Oh.
So I don't know what's happening. I only run the network. So either way, those shows are fun to listen to, man. Like especially for the fans, I think you should, because the community is strong. So if you have never listened to any of those shows, whether it's Let's Get Ready to Schmoedown or Certain Point of View or Call to Action, give them a shot.
Yeah, they're all really good.
Yeah.
Now, this is just me being selfish. I would really love for you and Tony Khan to get together.
Yeah, me too.
And plan out some like AEW crossover, because I know how big of nerds like every single wrestler in the AEW is. Like, you guys had
Cody Rhodes.
You guys had Cody on your show, and like I know he's a massive Star Wars fan. Like, I think that him coming into play against if we get Freddie back and have a celebrity Star Wars match, I think that would be fucking hilarious.
I want to get Cody on Sith Council first and ease him into it, and then because I still don't necessarily, like, Jericho knows exactly what the Schmoedown is now, obviously, right? I don't think Cody necessarily exactly knows what it is. He knows that Jen's involved. He knows I'm involved, but I don't think he really, because even when he was on that Twitch show that you just mentioned, we were asking him about Jericho. He's like, oh yeah, I've seen him, and he's not going to really hang with these. I've seen these Star Wars guys. Not going to hang. I was like, yeah, but he's not playing in Star Wars. He's not doing so. But Cody, I'd like to have him on Sith Council first, ease him into the network. But eventually, yeah, sure, I'd love to get him involved. I'm a big Cody Rhodes fan, so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, also the fact that like there's a ton of wrestlers that live in Southern California within like an hour of the old studio that we shot at. So like, you know, at first when I heard out that, you know, we might get Jericho, I was like, oh my God, can we get an Inner Circle versus BTE? Because SCU lives right down the road. Like, you know, the Young Bucks live down over in Rancho Cucamonga. I'm like, this could be really, really fun.
Yeah.
But that's just me being selfish because I want to meet them and get a job with them.
Yeah.
Throw that out into the universe for 2021.
There you go.
Now, what movies that got pushed this year were you really, really bummed that you didn't get to see yet?
Dune, for sure. Dune's one that I mean, and I think Mark Riley has gotten me most excited about that, because I remember the David Lynch version I was not a fan of at all, but I remember Riley who said, no, dude, the book is like Star Wars. Like, it's like as where Star Wars can be looked at. It's mostly, you know, as George Lucas said, it was made for kids, but adults can enjoy it. Dune is Star Wars made just for adults. And then the trailers that I saw were pretty exciting. That Matrix, but you know, we're getting all that still this year, but I think Matrix was supposed to come out this year anyway, but I think the ones that we missed out on last year, definitely Dune, Black Widow for sure. Yeah, those are the ones that really stood out. But I said it on SEN yesterday. I got an Oculus for Christmas, and I don't think people understand that when you have this thing, especially with the Amazon app inside of it, you're in the movie theater. you're in the theater. The screen is as big, if not bigger, than the Grove or Century City. The surround sound is just as good, except there's not somebody next to you eating a meatball sandwich. And they're actually theater seats when you look at it, and it's like wearing like 3D glasses, big 3D glasses. But if I could watch all my movies, like that's a plug for Dan Earl Show. But if I could watch those movies with my Oculus, I would never need to go to the movie theater ever again.
You wouldn't want to go to like an opening night and like be surrounded with that excitement?
Sure. If I mean, because that excitement of the crowd and stuff, it depends on the movie though. There are certain movies I don't need that for. There's certain movies that you do, like Endgame when that came out. Of course, you want to be in the audience for that. There's no doubt about it. I'm just telling you, I don't need it anymore. Especially like I don't like when it came. I understand when people go, well, that's that theater experience and the big screen and hearing it, the sound coming at you. Not everybody can have an Oculus. I get it, but I have one. So this is like it really. This is the thing out of everything I have about the Oculus. This is the best part about it. It's like it is a full-on theater experience, and it's insane. So that's how I'll be watching movies in the big screen for a while anyway.
And we're never going to see Harloff out of his house again.
Ever. I posted that picture of Instagram. I'm going to be those Wall-E characters pretty soon.
Yep. That's where we're going. And you know what? Finally, thank God.
It's funny.
I said it. Awesome.
I did. I said it the other day. I said, you don't have to worry about some guy sitting next to you shitting their pants. And somebody in the chat room said, oh man, I didn't realize it wasn't proper etiquette to shit your pants in the movie theater. Like, yeah, you'd be surprised people do it. I've told this story 1 billion times over and I have to meet this person. When I went to see Bruno with my wife, who was my, I think, either fiance or girlfriend at the time. But when we went to see Bruno in the theater, and if you're an SEN fan, you've heard this story again, I apologize. But like we went and my wife brought the sparkling waters with us. And I think it was like whether it was a Trader Joe brand or whatever it was, but it was like raspberry or whatever. And the place is packed. I mean, it's packed with people, and it's about to start. And I have this bottle, and I'm moving it. I open it up, and it just fucking explodes at 100 miles an hour like a fire hydrant right into this guy's face next to me. And he goes, oh, and I go, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Right. And he's like, it's all right. It's all right. And it's all over his face. And the movie starts. And as I'm watching it, I'm trying so hard not to laugh. And all I can do is smell raspberry on this guy's face. Right. And the movie starts and I'm like, do something funny. Do something funny. So he starts doing something funny and I start laughing. It has nothing to do with the movie. I'm laughing because all I have to choose. It's the best. It was the best.
It's nothing worse than holding in laughter. Like I am the worst at that. I can't I could, it's the reason why I can't be an actor like at all, because I find funny in everything and I can't hold it back.
I have to find this guy, Rachel, though. I have to find this guy who tells the opposite side of that story. I was sitting down waiting to watch, and this fucking asshole brings in a soda water and he's tightening it up on this level. It's like, dude, put it on the bottom. And it explodes in my face. And I know this fuck was laughing at me the whole time. I know he was, but I can't prove it because it's Bruno and my whole face smells like raspberry the whole time. This is bullshit. I love to find this guy and find out what he's fucking doing with himself now. Like it just terrorized him all throughout his life. You know
the way that life works. You're going to run into him one day and you're both just going to be like wait, right. I know you.
But the question is, like, I couldn't pick that guy out from a lineup if I saw him. It's like, but I wonder though if one day, or if I've even been in a room with him before, and like having a conversation. He's just like, yeah, it's one time I went to see Bruno and this idiot exploded this water bottle in my face. It was awful. Like I hear the guy talk about like his worst theater experience, and it was that.
Maybe you just see him and subconsciously your brain recognizes him, and then all of a sudden you just smell raspberry.
Yeah, his face still smells like raspberry after all these years. He still smells like raspberry.
I can't even imagine how you can walk into a Bath and Body Works and like not think of him.
Oh, I'm telling you. Oh, God, it was that was my favorite part because it was so shocking. I mean, it reminds me of that scene in First Blood when John Rambo gets sprayed down with the fire hose and it's so powerful it like pushes him back. Yeah. That was the amount of force that hit this poor bastard in the face. Yeah, he's it was so much. It was so much. Oh, poor guy.
Yeah, I miss movie theaters. Not just for like, I think the most enjoyable movie I've ever seen in the movie theater. Like, I could not have seen Cats not in a movie theater, because Janine and I went together. We went to the Burbank AMC, popped an edible before. Yeah, and we're sitting there, and there's like these three high school girl, like theater girls, sitting behind us. And this mom and her kid sitting to the left of us behind us, and then like two guys sitting to our right, and nobody else in the theater. And throughout the entire show, we're all just like, huh?
Right. But you paid money for that. But you paid money for that.
No, it was an A-list. It was fine.
Oh, it was? All right.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
No, I would never. Like, I worked in AMC for 5 years. Like, right. I would rather just sneak in and be like, look, I worked for 5 years for shit pay. Like, you can owe me this movie. But no, like, just, I can't imagine not seeing it in the theater, because afterwards it just ended and it was just dead silent during the credits. And I just go, well, that happened.
Yeah. I never saw that movie. Never. It's because I heard it wasn't even, it's so bad it's good. I heard it's just bad.
It's just bad. Yeah. Like, I literally went to watch the theatricality of it. Like, I wanted to watch the choreography and the dancing. Yeah. And then I got sidetracked and I couldn't focus because some of the cats had tennis shoes and then some of them didn't. And I was like, what the fuck is going on right now? Like, I don't understand this. What is the meaning of this?
What is the meaning of this?
Like, why?
Yeah.
Also, it was just not one of those shows that I grew up like liking. Like, you were either like, a huge fan of Cats, like the Broadway version, or you weren't, and I wasn't.
I just remember seeing the commercial all the time. Like in New York, they would play the commercial all of the time. I never saw it on Broadway, but I always saw the commercial. Yeah, it was played all the time in New York.
Yeah, and I have friends who were in the show on Broadway, like, for the last like 7 years of its run. Like, I knew people in that cast. I had free tickets to go see it whenever I wanted to. And I was like, no, I'll see you at the bar afterwards. Thanks.
Right. Here,
like,
look.
I've heard you sing and I've seen you dance. You're beautiful and I love you and you're talented and wonderful, but I'll buy you a drink afterwards.
I'll buy you a drink. This is this thing. Like, can you see it? Here.
Oh, yes.
This is, hold on. I'll just play the, it was this is the commercial.
Yep.
I saw this commercial, whether I was watching He-Man or whatever I was watching, it played all of the time. That's how I remember this like it was yesterday. Mm-hmm. This is so, like, yeah, I've seen this commercial so many times I can't even tell you.
The amount of times that I've heard memories on a B-reel, it's like not even funny. So like in movie theater or in like theaters, when you go see like a show at the Pantages or whatever, they usually have screens in the lobby playing these like mini trailers for the shows that are going to be playing there this season. So Hamilton, I was hearing My Shot like constantly.
Yeah.
Wicked, just everything that was playing that season would play. And the amount of times that I heard Memories and Wicked and My Shot, like, I can't even, like, it just plays constantly in the back of my brain. It's like the gum commercial in Inside Out.
Oh, right.
Just every now and then I'll be sitting around and all of a sudden, Memories. I'm like, no, stop.
Yeah, just plays. It's true.
I can stand it. Also, I'm a dog person, so like, make that musical.
I see the Warfathers in here. They did play it during Thundercats also appropriately.
Yes.
The Warfather cracks me up, man. Like I was talking about him the other day. Like, so I try not to break on the matches.
Mm-hmm.
He got me once when I forget who he was playing. I think he was playing Janine, and there was a question that came up, and they asked like the character's name or something. He said Alphonse or something. Or like something So, and I can't remember the character. It just, you watch me and I just broke. Like I could, it was so fun. He's got such a great delivery. He says, I love the Warfather. He's great.
Oh, when he called Ellis War Son.
Oh, he's so good.
Studio, like I had to leave the studio because I just could not stop giggling.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite things about the in-studio shoots was watching you and Ellis or whoever was at the table, like trying not to break.
No, he's great. He's one of those guys. He gets the he's a big wrestling fan, so he gets the character stuff and understands it. And he's one of those competitors where he just has fun, and it's like he's not necessarily in it to win championships. I would love to see him develop into that, but that doesn't mean that he has to do it. He does it to have fun and play, and I don't think he's ever done a match that has not been super entertaining. He's super entertaining. That match against Claudia Dolph when he came back and won, it was so good. It's so good. I love the Warfather. Yeah,
he's great. Yeah, we text every now and then because like we're both wrestling fans, and so we'll like text on during Dynamite or something, or we'll be like, "Did you see this match?" And I'll be like, "No, I'll check it out online." And like, it's great. I adore him. Yeah, dude, wrestling's just so great. I can't wait for that to come back.
Yeah,
and like actually get a chance to see it, not have to fly out to like Florida because Florida.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to. I want to take Viv to she's a massive Becky Lynch fan.
Yes.
So I want to take her when we're able to, and live events are happening too. I want to take, like, because I assume Becky will be back by then. I definitely want to take her to Raw or SmackDown or whatever. And that'll be fun to take Vivi to one of those things. My dad used to take me to wrestling matches all the time when I was a kid. We used to go to Nassau Coliseum. I saw the Ultimate Warrior beat Andre the Giant like 8 seconds, which was incredible. I used to go and see Bret Hart wrestle all the time. He's one of my favorites. I think I saw Macho Man Savage wrestle Bad News Brown in the Garden. That was great. But my favorite memory of wrestling, it's not necessarily because it was such a great event. Because I went to WrestleMania 17, which is one of the better WrestleManias. That's not the one. I went to WrestleMania 2. And I got to see Roddy Piper box Mr. T, and then as crazy as it was and as surreal as it was, I was hosting a show. I was hosting the Rod Pod with Roddy Piper when my buddy Steve Simone, this comedian, was his co-host. And whenever he went out of town, Steve's like, "Hey, Roddy would love for you to kind of fill in for me when I'm not here." I said, "Hell yeah." And I would tell Roddy on the show every single time. I'd be like, I can't tell you how many times I told him the story of I was at WrestleMania 2 watching it, and every time I told him, he would say, "You were there." Every time. And I was like, "Yeah, Rod, I told you that last week." And he's like, "Yeah, he's like, I've been hit with stuff." And I was like, "Yeah, I know." But he's the best.
Yeah, I met him probably, I think it was like 8. It's somewhere between 8 and 10, and we were just leaving Alcatraz from like a group trip, and as we're like going down towards the docks, we just see all these like big men in like black jackets like pushing road cases into Alcatraz, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? And I turn around and I see, and it says like, I think it was Nitro. I think they were wearing Nitro jackets. And I was like, oh my God, because my dad wanted boys and he got 3 daughters. So he raised us watching wrestling. And so I knew who they all were. And like, and all of a sudden, like from the midst of the dock comes Roddy Piper. And I was like,
he was a sweetheart, man.
Oh, he was so nice. I mean, this was also during the time when his son was really sick. And like they didn't know what was happening, and like he was in the hospital, and like I just like stopped him and I was like, "Mr. Piper." He like bent down on bended knee, and like we spoke face to face and told him, "I hope that your son feels better." And he just gave me this massive hug, and we like took a picture that I to this day cannot find, but I literally came up to like his waist.
That sounds like him. Yeah, he was awesome, man. He was awesome. He was a really sweet dude. He was really nice and kind and very giving and very humble, which is crazy when you look at the way that he was on camera. But he was his stories were outrageous. His stories were outrageous. But I miss him. Yeah, I miss him. I miss him a lot.
You know what else was amazing to me that I was like, I expected him to be like nice, but like not as nice as he was. I met Ken Shamrock.
Was he really? Ken Shamrock was cool.
He was super cool to me. I was driving around lost in like this commercial area of Sacramento, trying to find this warehouse, and I pulled over because I saw that there was a door open and my phone was dead. I just needed to charge it, and I walk in, and it was the area, like it was their training center. It was the Shamrock Training Center. And I walk in, I see the ring, I see the, all the workout equipment. And then I see him coming out of the office, and he let me use his phone and everything. And we started talking, and I was like, this sounds really, really weird, but can you do me a favor? He's like, what? I was like, can I choke slam you? And he was like, sure. So I got to choke slam Ken Shamrock in the ring.
That you should have taped.
I mean, this was like before video phones, and no one was around. It was just the two of us, and it was amazing. I literally got to do the whole like, and then I like stood on top of him and counted him out. It was great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So sweet about it.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, it was great.
That's awesome.
Now, have you heard anything coming about? Aren't they doing a biopic for Hulk Hogan?
Yeah, I know that I know no, you're not wrong. So I know that Chris Hemsworth is supposed to be playing him, has already been bulking up for it. So I think that one's kind of coming sooner than later. Yeah. So it's I don't know what the latest is on it, but from what I heard, he's getting ready for it.
Yeah, I'm stoked for that because I was a Hulkamaniac.
Oh, awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting. It's just the only thing that I think they're probably gonna cover it from how he became like Hulk Hogan, and they're not gonna cover like I think the steroid stuff. They're not gonna cover the stuff like at the all the Gawker stuff and all the racist stuff and all. They're not gonna cover that stuff because Hogan's a producer on it. So I think they're just gonna cover like the first half of it. So
it's gonna be like a Disney biopic.
Something like that.
All the good, happy things.
Yeah.
None of the drugs and cheating and racism.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, it's even like the Queen biopic, right? They that was what the big worry was. That they weren't going to go too much into the dark stuff. I really like Bohemian Rhapsody. I know that's some people who don't like that movie at all, but I actually like it because I was okay with the VH1 behind the scenes type of movie that it was, more so than anything else. Sometimes I don't want to see all the dark stuff, and sometimes like it depends. This particular movie with Hogan, if it's about Hemsworth, kind of just being in the ring, doing his thing, because the idea of what Hogan was at first and what he did for wrestling is a pretty crazy story, like that portion of it. But he came back to Raw, I think last week is what I heard. I didn't see it.
I heard the rumors.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
Kind of I haven't been back to WWE in a very, very long time.
Yeah, I get it.
I mean, if you know someone, call someone.
You should, because he's another one I got to talk to because him and Roddy were tight. Roddy were tight, so he would call into the show a lot, and I got to talk to Hacksaw because Hacksaw was somebody I loved. I saw Hacksaw wrestle Earthquake back in Nassau. It was great.
Well, Hacksaw is actually going to be he's like one of the special guests on the Jericho cruise.
Oh, good. Are they definitely doing that still?
Currently, it's still lined up for the fall.
Okay.
I mean, they pushed it back because it was supposed to be last winter, and then they pushed it back to the fall, and then they pushed it back to this coming fall, 2021.
Okay.
I actually know a few friends that work for 6-man cruises, and so I'm like, wouldn't it be great if we could get like a Schmoedown like show on there?
That
would be fun.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting.
We could do like a wrestling Schmoedown, have Ellis. They always have a comedian on board to like MC, and I'm like, Ellis, of course, like,
right,
just get you guys on there, like. So I'm just so you know, I'm slowly but surely trying to like weave this together.
I mean, we've definitely had conversations about doing some fun stuff together. So we'll see what the world looks like, and who knows.
Yeah, but you never know.
Yeah.
Now, you say your daughters have gotten into wrestling.
Yeah.
what are some things that you are so psyched that they have gotten into without your like pushing?
My daughter reads more than my oldest reads more than anyone in the family. Like she reads so much. She reads I mean the amount of books that she like just annihilates. She's read all the Harry Potter books like 3 or 4 times already. It's like she's reading this whole thing. There's some dragon novels that she's reading now. She read all the Percy Jackson stuff. She's gotten into like all these kind of fantasy novels and things, and I never really pushed her on it. I mean, I pushed her a little bit on Star Wars and introduced it and see if it caught, and it did. Like she's not a super kind of, she likes Harry Potter and those things, and like she like Disney Plus, she's found like The Descendants and things of that nature. She loves that stuff, but yeah, the reading thing, she just kind of really took to it, you know, and that's something I've always wanted more for myself. Like now, especially now when I'm so, it's something that I regret not doing more when I was younger. Was I read, but not as much as I really, like, not like she does. Like she like when I was her age, there's no way. Like and so like that's the kind of thing that I'm pretty excited that she does.
Yeah, I used to do that. I used to get in trouble for staying up till like really late because I would read under my covers.
Yeah.
Because like you just get hooked. Like it's like a movie, you know. Like if a story is good enough,
oh yeah,
read it and you don't want it to end, but you want to finish it and like you want to just live in that world for as much as possible.
That's what she does. Yeah, that's what she does. She was when I went in earlier today. She was just like curled up on the couch, just reading a book. She has glasses now, so she's just like kind of like reading a book and just fired up into it. It's awesome. Oh I lovingly call her my little geek. She loves it.
She's getting so big.
Yeah, I'm telling you, she's tall. She's tall. She's like, I bet you if her and you and Wendy stood next to each other, I bet you they'd be almost as tall now.
When I'm also an Amazon, so Wendy's short for me, but Wendy's such a sweetheart. I love her. Guys, we've got Harloff for another like few minutes. So if you have any questions, like send them in super quick to the Streamlabs, and we'll try and get to them, and then we'll close out with my favorite question to end with. Now how excited are you for the He-Man show?
The animated one?
Yes. I mean, I'm excited for animated just because it's got Kevin Smith involved and I know how much that he loves it, but I know that there's the animated and the live action and I'm stoked.
Well, the movie I'm not so my history with it, I'm a little more cautious with the live action one because to me, I feel that it should be a mix between Lord of the Rings and Star Wars. And I had my whole thing that I did with Warner Brothers when I was there. And I just don't know if anybody has a good take on it. Right. The ones that I've heard so far and the casting that I've heard, I haven't loved. But that being said, after talking to Kevin, I talked to Kevin for 2.5 hours on one-on-one, and we got it. And even on SCN, he talked about how that all went down when he went to Netflix, and hearing him talk about it and getting the project from Netflix and admitting that he was like, you know, kind of a casual fan of it. And then listening to the executive that he was working with about how passionate and how much he wanted, he was like, this is why I love Kevin, you know, because he was like, look, man, I'm not going to tell you that like I knew all this stuff, but listening to this dude and hearing him, I'm like, tell me more. And so he wanted to hear more about it, and to the fact that he wanted to really kind of steep deep into that lore and bring it in and feel like it's a continuation of kind of that lore plus the 80s stuff that we love, but making it a little more cool and not as like 80s cheesy, you know. I'm very excited for that series. The 2002 animated version that was on Cartoon Network was criminally underrated. It was a fantastic show and explored the lore better than anything, because it was a comic book first, and then it became a television show, and then, you know, it became this animated show, and so I'm more excited for the Netflix Kevin Smith one than I am for a live action, because I don't think they've cracked the code yet, and I think there's too many cooks in the kitchen. It certainly was the case when I was working on it, from people who didn't really get it and what they're trying to do. So I'm excited for the Kevin Smith one though.
Yeah, I just remember when you guys had Kevin Smith on SCN Live, and you're like, yeah, we're gonna have him for like a half hour, and I'm like, that's adorable.
Yeah. Sure. Well, yeah, that's what I told us.
I think I actually sent you a very threatening text during that, and I was like, if you cut this off, I will, like, I know where you live. Like, please don't do this. Like,
I wasn't going to cut it off, but they told me that, you know, I had him for half an hour, and I was like, and I said to him, like, how long we got? He's like, no, I'll hang out. And the same thing for like when I did one-on-one, I was only expecting him to have him on there for like an hour, and we talked for like 2.5 hours. And I'll be honest, I probably could have had him for like 4. But like, you know, I don't want to keep him for that long. He's so generous with his time, and like, and plus the fact that he's one of those guys where in 2.5 hours, I think I asked maybe 5 questions, you know, and I'm lucky, but it doesn't matter, because it's not like he's just going on. He's saying shit. You're just like, you just want to hear him. I'm like, dude, just talk. I'm like, I'm cool. I'm like, I just want to hear it. Like, I'm as much of a fan as now. It's just crazy that I can call him like a colleague now, and the fact that it's crazy because he calls me captain, you know, because of the Schmoedown stuff, and I'm always thrown back by it. I'm like, that's Kevin Smith. And like, it's pretty cool. I was always a fan of his. I'm a massive fan of his now because I know him a little bit better as a person now, and like I like Kevin a lot.
Yeah, he's okay. I mean, I like, you know, I kind of like him. I mean, I've watched Clerks for like the 170th time earlier today before this interview. It's totally fine. Yeah. And by watched, I mean like put it on in the background and then quoted it while I did laundry.
Right, exactly.
Because it's Empire, guys. Empire, not Empire. No, I'm kidding.
Well done. Us wear heels. That quote is lived in infamy.
I'm gonna laugh if we win, like, so hard, just because
there are some people who don't want you to win because of that. It was so funny.
I know, and I'm just sitting back again. I Jesus, take the wheel.
Possible.
Off it.
Possible.
Whatever happens. I'm just gonna laugh so hard if that happens. All right, guys. I know Harloff's got something to go to. Just check the Streamlabs. We're clear. So I'm going to end this with my favorite question from one of my all-time favorite movies, Almost Famous. Do you have to be happy to write a love song? Do you have to be sad to write a sad song? What is it that you love about music?
It to me even more so is the ultimate escape. Everything I do with music. I write to music. If I'm cleaning dishes, I need music on. It's something that if I'm grocery shopping, I need music on in order to. It transports me. All the great ideas that I've had any idea that I've had in my head that I think is going to be good it turns out to be because of music. For example, like one of my most proud moments in the Schmoedown that people seem to still like was the reveal of the 5 Horsemen. It's the one that everybody really remembers. I stayed up very late listening to music to set the stage on that and to make sure that the music was the thing that hit the hardest. And I remember doing like a Google search for like epic music was the search I did. And I listened to so many different tracks. And as I was going through it, I heard the one that I ultimately wound up playing, and I said, this is it. So I kept listening to it, and I said, okay, the guy will do his thing. There he's singing, and then we play this part, and the music can start playing right as Guy is like finishing up, and he can go, wait, you're cutting me off? Are you cutting me off? And then it goes dark, and then this part right here, lights go up, and then that's right. All 4 of them can be standing there with the hoods on, and then we drop it down, and then I said, well, what can we play when Dan comes out? And I was like, oh, we got to play something terrifying. I was like, the Shining music, and then dun dun dun. Like listening to that, I was like, and I'm listening to both of those songs over and over again, playing the moment out in my head, and I saw it, and I kept seeing it the way that I wanted it to play out on stage, and that's just one of the examples of kind of how much music is important.
I'm not gonna lie, that moment, I remember watching that live in a theater lobby that had marble floors and high ceilings, and I screamed so loud when that moment hit. Like a huge mark. Don't even care. I jumped out of my seat, screamed, scared the daylights out of some elderly ushers, which I felt really bad about, but screw it. It was a perfect moment, and I love that music hits that way for you. Thank you so much for coming on. I want to talk to you for a hot second after we're done, but guys, thank you so much for your support. Come back next week. It'll be a little bit later time, but you guys are the best. Where can everybody find you, Kristian?
Well, I mean, look, I would say Schmoedown stuff, right? That's the most important. If you're not a Patreon, if you're not a patron on Schmoedown Patreon, you should be, because this is really the year to do it. Patreon.com/Schmoedown, obviously, but we're going to be doing the awards. That's January 15th. The free agency special is the 22nd, and then the draft is the 29th. I misspoke and said that the first pay-per-view is February 12th. It's not. It's February 19th, and that's going to be Mara Kanopik versus Chandru for the main event, and the undercard will be Molly Damon versus Laura Kelly.
Woo! Not starting off on an easy one, are you?
It's gonna be a really strong card, and it's I think it's the first pay-per-view where we've had 3 ladies that are going to be in the forefront.
Yeah, 3 ladies and Inner Geekdom and Star Wars. So that's freaking huge, guys. Join the Patreon, like and subscribe down below, ring the bells, all that fun stuff. Join my Patreon, come hang out. We have some really fun things. I'll see you guys next week. Keep your eyes on Twitter for the announcements. Love you guys.